Yeah, good morning, Eric.
Morning, Mr. King.
Okay, so today is our reading session. Continue to read the book It's to Beat Disease.
Mm,
Okay, so line 1250 after you.
okay. Diseases with DNA damage. DNA damage is found in many serious diseases, including every types of cancer. Skin cancer is perhaps the most common, caused by solar ultraviolet radiation that damages the DNA in every bit of exposed skin. Think sunburns at the beach. This is a process called field cancerization. Other cancers are linked with occupational, environmental, and dietary exposures, in which DNA becomes repeatedly damaged in specific organs. These include cancers of the lung, bladders, esophagus, stomach, and colon, where insults from the air and the diet can alter the DNA. Precancerous lesions such as colon polyps, carcinoma in situ of the breast, cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, and actinic keratosis, a precursor to skin cancer, are filled with cells that contain damaged DNA in need of repair.
Infections by disease-causing bacteria and viruses can cause DNA mutations from which tumors can arise, as in cervical cancer, liver, hepatocellular cancers, and in cancer of the mouth and upper airway. Some people carry inherited mutations in which the body has weakened DNA repair mechanism. For those individuals, cancer is a very likely fate. Some of the conditions that carry this risk have tongue-twister names like Li-Fraumeni syndrome, no relation to the author of this book, ataxia, telangiectasia, and Lynch syndrome. If you have one of these conditions, your DNA is not protecting you the way it should, and it needs all the help it can get. Foods that help defend DNA are invaluable in these conditions.
DNA damage can be a side effect of traditional cancer treatments such as chemotherapy and radiation therapy, which killing cancer cells. The indiscriminate treatments actually cause collateral damage to the DNA of normal healthy cells too. This can lead to secondary cancers in patients who successfully treated and survived their first cancers. Common medical imaging procedures, from X-rays to CAT scans to MRIs and PET scans, all deliver radiations that traumatizes normal DNA.
Autoimmune diseases cause DNA damage not only in the organs that are affected by an overactive immune system, but even in the white blood cells circulating in their bloodstream. This has been seen in people with lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, celiac disease, and inflammatory bowel diseases like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, among others.
Epigenetic changes can be harmful as well as helpful, and these take place over a person's lifetime. The changes in how the DNA is expressed can be passed down across generations. These alterations are being discovered to play a role in a remarkable range of diseases, including schizophrenia, autism spectrum disorder, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, major depression, atherosclerosis, and autoimmune diseases. Clearly, There's a huge range of health threats where DNA protection could prove useful. A mindful diet containing foods with DNA protecting properties could boost your health defenses.
Foods that influence DNA repair. Most nutrition textbooks describe the importance of micronutrients as the building blocks for a normal DNA. These include vitamins A, B, C, D, and E found in spinach, carrots, red peppers, lentils, navy beans, and mushrooms, as well as eggs, cod liver oil, sardine, and mackerel. Minerals like magnesium found in almonds, oatmeal, bananas, and tofu, and zinc found in oysters, crab, and lobsters are all needed for the upkeep of DNA repair mechanisms. But increasingly, it is becoming clear that the benefits of whole foods are bigger than any one single out component, whether it's a vitamin, mineral, or even a bioactive. This is one reason why I pay special attention to the data coming from clinical and laboratory studies of whole foods and beverages, and from epidemiological studies in real-world populations.
Berry juices. While orange juice may be a good to morning beverage, other tempting options can provide DNA protective effects. Mixed berry juices are found everywhere, from grocery stores to juice bars and smoothie stands. Red and dark color berries contain many bioactives, including anthocyanins and other polyphenols with antioxidant effect.
A research study conducted at the University of Kaiserslautern in Germany recruited 18 healthy male volunteers and gave them a mixed berry juice made of red grape, blackberry, sour cherry, black currant, and chokeberry, also known as aronia juices. The subjects drank the juice every day for 3 weeks, consuming a daily total of 3 cups, divided into equal parts over the course of the day. After completing the first 3 weeks, they were asked to refrain from eating berries for another 3 weeks. The researchers drew blood at the beginning and throughout the study. A comet A comet assay showed that drinking the berry juice significantly increased DNA protection by 66%, which was seen 1 week after starting the juice compared to levels before starting the juice. When juice intake was stopped, the protective effects wore off, and the level of DNA damage in the blood steadily increased back to previous levels. To see if the effects were due to berry bioactives, the researcher removed the polyphenols from the juice, then repeated the study. This time, when the volunteers consumed this drink, their blood did not show the DNA protective effects, nailing down that the effects was due to the bioactives.
Kiwi fruits. Bright green slices of kiwi fruit make your breakfast plate look attractive, and its strawberry-like flavor is mouth-watering. As we saw in Chapter 8, kiwi fruits has a beneficial impact on the microbiome. Kiwi also contains high level of vitamin C, chlorogenic acid, and quinonic acid that each has antioxidant effects. Researchers at the Rowett Research Institute in Scotland examined kiwi fruit's abilities to reduce DNA damage. They recruited 14 healthy volunteers and gave them 1, 2, or 3 kiwi fruits to eat each day. The participants ate a different dose of fruits during each of 3 periods of time, and their blood was drawn for comet assays at the beginning and end of each period. The results show that eating kiwi fruits, regardless of the number of fruits, could reduce DNA damage by approximately 60%. When the researchers looked more closely at the DNA, they found that eating 3 fruits per day actually increased DNA repair activity by 66%. So, eating kiwi fruits not only neutralizes free radicals, but it also increases the repair rate of any DNA that has been damaged to get it back into shape.
Carrots. You may want to reach for carrot juice or carrot soup for more than their great taste. True to their names, carrots are rich in the bioactives called carotenoids, red and yellow pigments found throughout the plant-based food world. Carotenoids are powerhouses when it comes to antioxidant activity.
Researchers at the Quadrant's Institute of Bioscience in the United Kingdom wanted to examine the DNA protection effects of eating carrots. They recruited 64 male volunteers and fed them the equivalent of 2.5 cups of carrots, which is about 5 medium carrots per day for 3 weeks, on top of their regular diet. The carrots were frozen Sainsbury brands and cooked for 10 minutes in boiling water, drained, and then minced in a food processor. The researchers took blood at the beginning of the study after 3 weeks and then 6 weeks after that. After 3 weeks of eating carrots, subjects' blood exhibited an increase in DNA repair activity, but not a lowering of DNA damage rate. This means that carrots don't prevent DNA damage, but instead repair damage that already exists. Interestingly, dietary supplements containing carotenoids decrease DNA damage, which is consistent with their well-known antioxidant effects. This is a great example of how whole foods can benefit your health in different ways than supplements.
Broccoli. It's true, eating broccoli is good for you, and one of its benefits is DNA protection. Researchers from the University of Milan in Italy and the University of Copenhagen in Denmark recruited 27 young male university students who smoked more than 10 cigarettes per day. Cigarette smoke contains a cloud of chemicals called reactive oxygen species that are guaranteed to cause DNA damage. So, smokers are a perfect group of study to determine if broccoli can provide any protection. The researchers steamed broccoli marathon cultivar for 15 minutes and fed each subject with 1.3 cups of the cooked vegetables per day for 10 days. Blood samples were drawn at the beginning and end of the study and tested for their ability to reduce DNA damage with the COMET assay. Broccoli intervention led to a 23% decrease in DNA breakage in the blood of cigarette smokers. After the broccoli eating period had ended, the blood tests were repeated. Not surprisingly, the blood of the smokers showed a return to the same levels of increased DNA damage that was seen prior to eating any broccoli.
Like lycopene-rich foods, tomato, watermelons, guava, pink grapefruits. The next time you go to the beach, consider drinking a shot of tomato, watermelons, pink grapefruits, or guava juice before heading out. It will protect you against sun damage. The red-orange color of these fruits comes from lycopenes, which among other benefits you've seen in earlier chapters, protects DNA from the ionizing radiation damage from the sun.
Scientists from the National Institute of Public Health, National Institute of Hygiene in Poland wanted to study lycopene's effects. They recruited healthy, non-smoking, 30-year-old women from Warsaw and collected their white blood cells. They then exposed the white blood cells to X-rays, analyzing the damaging effects of the radiation using the Comet assay. Radiation damaged the DNA and killed most of the cells. However, if the cells were exposed to lycopene 1 hour before or just immediately before radiation exposure, the DNA damage was significantly reduced, and more cells survive. These show a protective effect, especially at low levels of lycopene. However, when the lycopene was added to the cells after radiation exposure, there was no protective benefit at all, and the DNA damage significantly increased.
The finding shows that lycopenes cannot repair DNA after radiation damage, but can have protective effects before exposure to radiation. As a consequence of these results, also think about having a shot of tomato or watermelon juice before going to dentist, who may take an X-ray of your teeth, or before getting on an airplane, where a dose of radiation during a flight would be unavoidable.
Lycopene is also protective against DNA damage caused by infection. The bacterium Helicobacter pylori infects the stomach and wreaks cellular havoc, causing gastritis, stomach ulcers, and even stomach cancer. More than 4 billion people worldwide are infected by H. pylori, making it a global health issue. The bacterium does its damage by creating reactive oxygen species. In the stomach, these cause oxidative stress and DNA damage.
A study by scientists from Yonsei University in Korea and Tokyo Medical and Dental University in Japan found that the damage from H. pylori can happen fast, as soon as 15 minutes after stomach cell infected. Free radicals are created. After exposures, their production continues for at least an hour, with an increasing amount of DNA destructions in the stomach cell. But when the cells were pretreated with lycopenes 1 hour before H. pylori infections, the amount of damaging reactive oxygen species was reduced by more than 60%. Lycopenes decreased the cell DNA damage by almost 40%, and the cells were cured. The protective benefit by lycopenes on stomach cells is parallel to its effect on white blood cells in the women in Warsaw.
Seafood. In addition to their anti-angiogenic benefits, polyunsaturated fats, omega-3 PUFAs, from seafoods can protect your DNA. There are many sources of marine or omega-3 PUFAs, and you might be surprised to learn that while salmon is one source, it's not actually at the top of the list. The next time you are at the fish market or restaurant, consider these top sources of marine omega-3 PUFAs, which you read about earlier in Chapter 6, for their DNA repairing advantages. Hake, a white flesh fish in the cod family. Sea cucumber, a delicacy in Asia related to the starfish. Manila clams and cockles. Tuna, watch out for high mercury levels. Yellowtail and botarga, the dried roll of gray mullet that is considered a delicacy in Mediterranean.
Help producing omega-3 PUFAs have antioxidant effects that can counter the devastations of DNA caused by free radicals. But they can also improve DNA repair in cells, which are left unchecked might otherwise go on to become cancerous. Researchers at Harvard Medical School and from the National Cancer Institute examines 1,125 cases of patients with colorectal cancer. These patients had been part of two large studies called the Nurses' Health Study and the Health Professionals Follow-up Study. Researchers look at the cancer specimens for signs of DNA instability. When the cancer's DNA is stable, its cells are less erratic and more predictable in their behavior. When cancer DNA is stable, things can get wild and even more dangerous. Cancers with stable DNA are called MSS, microsatellite stable, while those with high DNA instability are called MSI-H, microsatellite instability high. As we say in chapter 4, cells are hardwired to be able to repair DNA by replacing damaged parts.
The researchers found that a high intake of marine omega-3 PUFAs was associated with a 46% reduced risk of the more aggressive MSIH colon cancers compared to those with low intake of omega-3 PUFAs. High daily intake was equivalent to the amount of healthy fat you would find in 3.5 ounces of fish, a serving size roughly the size of a deck of cards. These data show that eating foods rich in omega-3 PUFAs not only reduces DNA damage through their antioxidant effects, but also can help improve the body's ability to repair DNA.
Pacific oyster. If you're an oyster lover, you will love this research finding. Oysters protect your DNA. Among the more than 100 different varieties of briny bivalves, the Pacific oyster is relatively small. Sweet oyster is widely cultivated and eaten around the world. They don't produce pearls, but they do offer antioxidant benefits. Oyster meat has high amounts of the amino acid taurine, which protects DNA against free radical damage. It also contains the amino acids cytins and bioactive peptides that create a powerful antioxidant called glutathione.
While oysters at the raw bar are a delicacy, oysters are also baked, used in stews, and made into sauce. The sauce is especially potent because oysters are boiled down, essentially creating an extract containing concentrated bioactives. Classic oyster sauce is a thick, dark sauce that was invented in Guangdong, China in the 18th century. It is common use in stir-fry recipes to add a rich umami flavoring to brassica vegetables like broccoli and bok choy in Chinese and Southeast Asia cooking.
Researchers at the National Center for Scientific Research in France and Fox Chase Cancer Center in Philadelphia study the antioxidant effects of oyster extracts in humans. They recruited 7 healthy men and gave them extracts from Pacific oyster prepared by heating fresh oyster for an hour at 176 degrees, then drying the extracts into a powder. The powder was taken in the form of a supplement pill 3 times per day for 8 days. The researchers drew blood throughout the study, inflicting and then measuring the DNA damage in the blood to see the effect of the oyster extract. Remarkably, eating the oyster extract led to a whopping 90% reduction of DNA damage. The oyster extract also raises blood levels of the protective antioxidant glutanoid by 50%.
The next time you enjoy a platter of oysters, you want to ask if they are Pacific oysters. And you can now relish adding oyster sauce as a flavor booster and DNA protector when you make a stir fry.
Foods with epigenetic effect. Beyond protecting or repairing DNA, foods can influence DNA function through a process called epigenetic change. Remember, epigenetic influences are those that come from outside exposures, like diet or environment. These influences either unleash DNA that would otherwise be silent and not functioning, or block DNA that would otherwise be active, while some epigenetic changes caused by toxic exposures, for example, are harmful to health. Research has shown certain foods can cause beneficial epigenetic changes that tip the scale toward better health.
A quick recap of different epigenetic changes. Methylation is where a chemical methyl sits on top the DNA strand and silences a gene so it cannot function to make its protein. Demethylation allows proteins that were once blocked to be made. Histone modifications uncoil and recoil DNA to make it more or less available, which can be beneficial for health depending on the genes being influenced. By understanding the epigenetic effects, you can select foods with the ability to turn off a harmful gene or activate a useful gene so greater quantities of beneficial proteins are made. When beneficial DNA is activated and harmful DNA is silenced, you are boosting your health.
Soy, in addition to its anti-angiogenic cancer-starving effect, soy can suppress breast cancer by epigenetically activating the power of thermal suppressor genes. The job of these genes is to prevent thermal growth. When the genes are blocked, it becomes easier for breast cancer cells to grow, even though there are still other health defenses that cancer must overcome to become deadly. But the epigenetic effects of soy are particularly important because of the confusion surrounding soy and breast cancer.
Researchers at the University of Missouri and Iowa State University studied the effects of giving soy bioactives, isoflavonols, to women to activate these tumor suppressor genes. They recruited 34 healthy women in a prospective, randomized, double-blind clinical trial. The women were given either a high dose or a low dose of soy bioactives to consume twice a day for 10 days. The daily low dose was equivalent to eating 1.2 cups of edamame beans, while the high dose was the equivalent of 4 cups. Blood levels of one soy isoflavone, genisteins, were higher when the women consumed a high dose of soy.
The researchers specifically looked at a thermal suppressor gene called retinoic axis receptors, B2, IRB2. Thermal suppressor genes serve as guardians of the genomes to prevent cancer development. In the case of IRB2, these protective genes is often found to be deactivated or neutralized in breast cancer. Recall that methylation blocks the function of specific sections of DNA. Researchers found that even after consuming the low dose of soy isoflavone, the IRB2 thermal suppressor gene was turned on. This means that eating soy causes more thermal suppression and greater protection against cancer growth. Subjects who consumes the soy exoflavors also had increased levels of a second thermal suppressor genes, silins D2, CCND2.
These findings have practical implication for women who are BRCA, pronounced BRCA, mutation carriers, since carrying these genes is associated with a higher risk for developing breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and pancreatic cancer. Thanks to convenient DNA testing using saliva, more and more women are getting to know their BRCA status. Because BRCA is a tumor suppressor gene, when you have a mutation, it means you have less protection against cancer. One study of patients with BRCA mutations showed that they also had other tumor suppressors blocked, including RARB2 and CCND2. Soy helps to activate these cancer-fighting genes through epigenetic change, partly explaining why soy may help counteract the danger of having a BRCA mutation. Eating soy can spark an epigenetic change in your DNA with protective effects against breast cancer.
Cruciferous vegetable. We've already seen the value of broccoli. For the entire family, it belongs to cruciferous vegetable also cause beneficial epigenetic changes in your DNA. Broccoli, bok choy, kale, and cabbage all contains the bioactive sulforaphane. Scientists at the Institute of Food Research in Norwich, UK, show, for example, that when colon cancer cells are exposed to sulforaphanes, there's a profound change in the activity of genes in the cells. Sulforaphanes cause 63 genes in the cancer to be reduced in their activity by half. Other studies have shown that sulforaphanes in cruciferous vegetable cause an epigenetic increase in the activity of thermal suppressor gene, similar to soy, which activates a hardwired defense against cancer.
Coffee. Coffee beans contain polyphenols that trigger beneficial DNA functions. Similar to soy, coffee polyphenols epigenetically turn on the tumor suppressor gene RARB2. Scientists at the University of South Carolina have documented these effects in the lab, where they expose human breast cancer cells to two bioactives found in coffees, chlorogenic and caffeic acid. Both of these polyphenols change the cancer cells so that the tumor suppressor in their DNA were unleashed, thwarting the ability for cancer to grow.
Tea. Similar to coffee, a major bioactive in green tea called epigallocatins gallate (EGCG) cause epigenetic changes that amplify the influence of thermal suppressor genes, thus dampening the ability of cancer to form. Combined with its anti-angiogenic and microbiomic effects, it's no wonder tea has clinical evidence for anti-cancer benefits. Green tea also causes cells to experience epigenetic changes that increase production of a natural antioxidant enzymes called glutathione as transferase GSTP1, which further protects DNA by neutralizing free radicals.
Yeah, okay. How about we stop here?
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. So talk about something that we have learned or some of the things that we want to say, right? For this part, I think Yeah, it mainly talk about the DNA, and then we know some of the food maybe they can help in DNA repair, and some of them is like a preventive methods. Yeah, which is like they can prevent DNA damages. Yeah, and yeah, there are a few of foods mentioned here, and then I also came across one term which is called the free radicals. Yeah, and yeah, this is basically something like a chemical effects in our
Mm.
body, right? Which
And
is
it's a very
mm,
and it's very famous, right? Even
mm,
so, when we are young, we heard this in Chinese. We call 自由基, is it?
yeah, yeah, we heard a lot in advertisement or
Mm.
maybe the labels in on the products, right?
Yeah. So the marketer and also the scientists, nutritionists ask
Mm,
us to consume more antioxidants foods,
mm,
including supplements, especially like vitamin C. And now it's very, very common to ask us consume more vitamin K.
mm,
Because
yeah,
vitamin K is more expensive than vitamin C.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, so also when I check the meaning of like the oxidation and then free radicals, yeah, actually I found that they say we actually know very little about them
Mm.
currently, yeah, with current knowledge and technology. Yep, and yeah, also just now I talk about marketer. Yeah, also I when I do my research, I also try to find whole food, and then I also came across some superfood. Yeah, yeah. You have you heard of superfood?
Yeah.
Yes,
In my,
right.
yes.
Mm.
But I think in my current opinion, perspective, I would say, my current perspective, the only one superfood is liver.
Liver. Oh,
Yeah.
which is the organs, right? Organs of animal.
Yeah. Yeah. All kind of animal, the liver
Oh,
is really,
okay.
really a superfood.
Mm.
I'm not, is it shown in your research?
Liver. No.
Mm.
I didn't do a deep research. I just see what superfoods can be, and some
Mm.
examples, and maybe some top 10 superfoods, something like that. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and I found that actually if you try to search for a superfood on Google, and I take the source information source in Wikipedia, they actually show it obviously. Superfood comes from marketers, and there are a lot of criticisms about superfoods. And this term actually is founded many decades ago. Yeah, it is like 1950 or what I forgot. Yep, and then also there are a lot of foods keep being marketed. Yeah, and you can see like there is seems like a fashion. There is a
Mm.
trend.
Or
Maybe.
rebranded.
Yep. Yeah. They do a lot of this kind of work. Yeah, and yeah, but many of the foods that we came across in this reading session in this book also are actually superfood. Yeah, for
Mm.
example, those berries, blackberries, cranberries, chia seeds, or what,
Mm.
or fish, yeah, omega 3. Yeah, all
Yeah.
these are superfoods. Yep.
Chassis is very, very expensive.
Mm.
I once checked a price from online and also from the supermarkets. This is too expensive.
Oh.
Mm.
Mm. Yeah. But I think this thing is getting more popular. I think it's like after 2010, is it?
Yeah. And also
Mm.
one of the quote unquote superfood is called quinoa. I'm not sure whether I pronounced correctly, but in Chinese it's called li mai. Have you heard it before? Quinoa.
Mm. No.
They're using this to replace the rice.
Oh.
Quinoa is also like a seed, For example, like the chia seeds. For example, like the beans, the green beans. Yeah, all these kind of legumes. They are in the same family. So the quinoa, the many. I'm not sure. Maybe the scientists, including the company marketers, they promote the quinoa. And this is quite expensive. If you want to replace it, replace the rice with it, it will be very expensive.
The rice, right? Yeah, very costly. And one of the superfoods I came across a few years ago is avocado.
Oh yeah, I hate it. I don't really hate it, but I don't like the taste. My girlfriend bring back some, and I just don't like it. But it's called the can you pronounce it again? The
avocado.
Yeah. The avocado. This is actually keto friendly, but I just don't like it.
Oh, it means there are less carbohydrates inside.
Yeah, and it's high in, if I'm not wrong, it's high in saturated fats. And it is keto friendly, and many people who adopt the keto diet, they like to eat this, but this is also a very expensive food.
Expensive, yeah. A few years ago, I go to the market. I saw that just one piece of avocado costs 3 ringgit.
Wow.
Yeah, very expensive, and the size isn't big. Yeah, it's like slightly bigger than an egg.
The plum. Oh, is it egg? I thought this is like maybe around maybe the size of your plums, right? You can hold it, or even smaller.
Palm? Like do you mean our hand?
Palm.
We can hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is smaller than an apple.
Oh wow.
Yeah, maybe you can get bigger one. I don't know, but maybe it's more costly.
More. Yeah.
Yep.
So
yeah.
Have you, based on your research, have you found any like kind of the way to reduce the free radicals?
Free radicals.
Is it just like to increase the antioxidants?
Yeah, vitamin C is one way, and then omega 3, which is in the book. We came across one sentence they say. Yeah. So I only know these 2 ways.
Yeah, and I think omega 3, you cannot just look at the ones proof fast, which is this a proof fast?
Yeah, proof fast.
Yeah, omega 3 is one of proof fast, right? Yeah. You also need to look at the omega 6, which a better perspective is look at the ratio, omega 6-3 ratio or omega 3-6 ratio. And I think I showed you before, which is a very, very healthy diet and contains a 1-to-1 ratio of omega 6-3. So it's very difficult. And why is so difficult? Because our foods is rich in omega 6. And omega 6 is also crucial to our body, but it is too much, just too much.
Yeah.
And if you try to eat some food which is high in omega 3, you also need to look at the ratio, whether it's also high in omega 6. Yeah, so for example, you intake 1 gram of omega 3, you think maybe it's a pill, maybe it's a fish oil pill, maybe it's something like superfood, and it contains 1 gram of the omega 3, but it contains 3 grams of omega 6. Then if you eat more of this, you're actually getting more imbalance on the omega 6-3 ratio. So it's wise to look at the ratio and also look at the absolute gram in the foods that contain the omega 3. And from my From my, I think for my current lifestyle, I eat the mackerel or sardines. All these kind of fish is high in omega-3 and very, very little, even zero omega-6.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also be careful for some of the plant foods. It may high in omega-3, but this is not the omega-3 we can efficiently convert for our body use, which is because omega-3 got three, EPA, DHA, and ALA. ALA is come from plant foods. And our body is very, very difficult to convert the ALA to either DHA, DHA and also the EPA. And and you can try to see what form our brains. Do our brains formed by the muscle and formed by some other thing? And actually our brain is very, very high level in cholesterol, very, very high level in cholesterol, and very, very high level in fat.
Oh.
Yeah. And our brain really need these fats, need this omega-3, but not ALA. You need to convert ALA to EPA or DHA for your brain use. So you also can see many marketers and also many scientists will say, yeah, it's more omega-3 will improve your memory, improve your brain functions. And actually it's true. Yeah, it's true. And also when you buy the supplements, yeah, of course, we actually don't need to buy the supplements. We can get it from the real foods, the whole foods. But in case you want to buy the supplement, you also need to really do some research and look at, is it include the omega-6? Yeah. And some of it, yeah, if you eat like 1-to-1 ratio of the pill, omega-3 pill, it actually doesn't help you much because you increase the omega-6 intake also. And the second is you need to look at how much ALA included in the pill. Maybe they use ALA to boost the gram of the omega-3, which is the cheaper form.
Yeah, and also we can find a lot of omega-3 from different brands, right? If you go to the pharmacies or maybe the place that sell the supplements.
And also another thing I know about the oxidation is actually about your carbohydrate and your sugar. And based on the research is like okay, but actually not sure how accurate is this and how trustworthy of this information, because it come from like an organization, associations of the low carb diets, and it say that if we eat too much the carbohydrate and also the sugar, and when this blood glucose comes into our blood vessel, and it will stick on your fat, either the polyunsaturated or either the saturated fat, and it will stick on the fat and then make your liver cannot detect it's a fat and absorb it. So your liver will not absorb the kind of like the quote unquote oxidated fat, which is the blood glucose stick on the fat. I call it oxidated fat. Your liver cannot detect those fats, and then so your liver is not going to absorb all the fats and then converts to maybe some other form of energy, like the fuel, like the ketones. And so your liver is not going to absorb it, and none of the organs will absorb this fat, this oxidative fat. And then so this kind of fat will keep surrounding your blood vessel until one day it's just a probability. It's just a like kind of like eventually it will reach the point which is this fat will stick on the wall of your blood vessel. So it become like the blood like the clot on your blood vessel. Yeah, so you will have some health problem, cardiovascular health issue like the hypertension, yeah, all kind of cardiovascular, and also it may increase the risk of heart attack.
Stroke.
Yeah. So this is the information I learned from the low carb diet associations. Okay. And many people in the keto and the carnivore community will also found that when they skip the carbs and they don't even need to skip the carbs, they just skip the sugar. Just skip the sugar and also skip the sea oil, which is a vegetable oil. They feel much better. Means for their health. And some of the reason is because one is they skip sugar. Sugar is carbs. Yeah, it's a very, very bad carbs. And like rice, maybe some other legumes, seeds. All of those is I could say the more complex carbs. So it may be healthier. Okay. And also this is one reason and why they skip the sea oil, the vegetable oil, to see the improvement in their health is because sea oil is high in the omega-6. Very, very, very high, super high. And they change the sea oil to the animal fat or change to like the really olive oil. But one problem is how do you know the olive oil you buy, you consume is really the real olive oil? And another study is try to differentiate the olive oil and the soy oil. They can't differentiate it. They do a double blind test. They can't differentiate it because this is so similar. And also as a consumer, how do you know? The company didn't mix the soy oil into the olive oil. So it's a problem. And also, even though if you look at the label, you look at the nutrition fact, it didn't really mention all type of fats. Is it? I'm not sure. Maybe some did, but some didn't. So yeah, but olive oil, coconut oil, which is a plant oil, and is better than other sea oil, like sunflower oil, and also like the vegetable oil, cabbage oil. So if you want to try, you can replace all these sea oil. So in short, improve. If you want to improve your omega-6 ratio, you can have two way or three way. First is reduce your omega-6 consumption. Second is increase omega-3 consumption, and third is do both. You cannot just like try to eat more omega-3 foods. You can do that, and you also need to try to reduce omega-6 so that you can get a better ratio. So for those people who still like resist to try, or they maybe afraid to try the carnivore, to try the keto, maybe they can start from the first stage, and this is kind of like quite promising and kind of proving by the mainstream scientists, which is get your omega-6 ratio balance.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually this is also one thing I would like to ask your opinion for, which is like, if you don't, not talking about switching diet to ketogenic or carnivore, and yeah, many of the foods that is mentioned in this book, right? Yeah, and yeah, is it really wise to like try it for a few weeks or few days? Can we really feel it?
You mean try I kind of like eat a variety of foods that mentioned in the book. And okay, first thing I learned in the trading. Yeah, trading. You didn't you didn't listen wrongly. Is first you want to know whether the result is good or bad. You need to have a consistent process to test it. For example, carnivore diet or ketogenic diet or even paleo diet or any carb diet. You want to see whether its benefits. Yeah, so yeah, including the vegan diet, vegetarian diet. I don't want to miss it. Yeah, to show my bias. Yeah, and you need to stick to it. Maybe I would say maybe at least 1 month, or 2 months, or 3 months. And you try to see, and you can try. Yeah, because at the end you still need to listen to your body. You need to try different kind of diet. But first, you really need to stick with one first, and really try it. Try to follow the guideline of that type of diet, then to see how your body responds. And yeah, so this is the thing I learned in training. And if you want to try, you need to really stick with it. And of course, you need to improve your knowledge, and you can do it at the same time when you're trying. Nobody get it all right.
Yeah.
When you first come. And also, I also learned something in these 2 weeks, which is from the carnivore or ketogenic the diet from website and the persons, he used the keto and used the carnivore to cure his type 2 diabetes, and then he upload the blog. He upload some of his knowledge, some of these experience on his website, on his or her website. And then in one of the blog, he talk about like kind of like the keto policy. Keto policy means that some people in the keto community and the carnivore community, they think their way is the absolute right way, and other ways is wrong way. Even though in the keto community, you have many subsets. Carnivore is one of the type. Yeah, and also like carnivore and many kind, and you have many subsets.
Yeah.
And so the keto policies think that their way is the best way, and they force people to follow their way. And if people don't follow their way, they scold them, and then they tell them you are doing wrong and something like that. But actually, you just need to do some little thing. For example, cut the seed oil, and also eat more animal food. Yeah. And you can see a big improvement in your health. You don't, and also like avoid all the sweeteners, avoid all the carbs, and you don't really need to avoid all the carbs from the first day. You can reduce the consumption first. You can reduce the intake, but you still can. Maybe you still like some sweet. You can avoid the sugar, the refined sugar, and you can eat some maybe artificial sweeteners. maybe like the sugar alcohol, maybe some fruit sugar, yeah, some natural sugar, natural sweeteners extracted from the fruits. You still can eat this. Yeah, there's no strict way. If you really want to follow the most strict way from a first day, you can't determine. You can't do it. You just can't do it. And it's a process. And after some time, your craving reduce, and you can skip all the sugar. You can skip all the carbs. But it's not something you can do from the first day. Yeah, of course, you still need to stick with the man's mindset, main concept. You don't like eat carnivores today and eat a normal diet tomorrow, and eat a ketogenic diet in the next day. You shouldn't do this because your body cannot adapt this. Yeah, you just make your body worse. So yeah, so the first thing is, if you want to see whether the result is good or bad, you need to be consistent. And then the second is this: you don't need to start everything from the first day. Yeah, and the third I learned, I think, is within this month, which is one of thing is, okay, I would say it's one of the perspective. There's no 100% wrong on these statements compared to the first and the second principle, or the kind of like the guideline I mentioned just now. So the third one is, many people confuse and many people misunderstand that if you think your diet, if you think the problems come from the diet, your health issue problems come from the diet, this is not to increase the food you eat, but actually reduce the foods you eat, reduce unhealthy food you eat, rather than increase healthy food you eat. Yeah. So you are doing the eliminations rather than additions. Try to imagine you adopt a diet for so many years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and you got the diabetes, you got obesity. Are you talking about you eat more healthy foods, you eat more foods, you can cure your obesity, cure your type 2 diabetes, or actually eliminate some of your foods, some of the unhealthy foods, to cure your obesity, to cure your type 2 diabetes, or even you can alleviate your type 1 diabetes. Yeah, because the problem is not comes with you from the first day you're born, right? You accumulate so many years, so many decades to get the diabetes, to get the obesity. Yeah, what caused it? Yeah, so you have to take out all the things first. Just like, yeah, eat more vitamins is not going to save you. It's not going to rescue your smoking habits in terms of free radical perspective, right? You can eat a lot of vitamin C, you can eat a lot of vitamin K, and it has the antioxidants properties, and it can reduce free radical. Smoking increases free radicals in your body. So what's the right way to do? Keep your smoking habits, eat more vitamin C, eat more vitamin K, overdose it, or quit your smoking habits. And you don't even need to take so much vitamin C and vitamin K. Yeah, so this is a concept.
So so your suggestion is like, we can try diet change, right? So how about if some I don't want radical changes first, maybe I include some particular foods in my diet?
Is it an addition or elimination?
Yeah, that is addition, right?
Yeah, so you have to try. Maybe you can see some result, maybe no. Maybe you see the result in the first few weeks, but after that you can't feel it anymore. Yeah.
Right.
And my suggestion is, if you want to try to improve the diet, you want to change some diet, skip the sea oil first. This is the first easiest thing to do. And the second,
starting with omega-3/6 ratio, right?
Yeah, or maybe you can start with the unprocessed. You can start with the processed foods. Skip all the processed foods, or consume less processed food. And also you can, I think you got three direction you can go. First is avoid the processed foods.
Okay.
The super processed foods. For example, like the fried, frozen fried foods. You can see a lot of these things, right?
Fish ball.
Yeah, a sauce, because sausage, I think you don't really need to skip it. You can try to reduce it, but because if you eat the normal diet without the sauce, you can't really taste the food.
Oh,
And
no, I mean sausage.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the sausage. Yeah, the hot dog. Yeah, sausage.
Yeah, hot dog.
And yeah, you can skip those food, like the canned foods, like we got like the lunch meat, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and skip all those processed foods. And this is one direction. And then the second direction is sea oil. Yeah, try to eliminate the sea oil. Maybe you can use the olive oil to cook. Of course, it increase the cost. Even though you want to use the animal oil to cook, like the pork lard, the pork oil, it will also increase some cost. And this is one direction. And then the third one is skip the refined sugar, and also the artificial sweeteners. You can still eat the natural sweets, the fruits. You can eat the apple, all this kind of fruit you can eat, but skip all the refined sugar. And this is three directions. And I highly suggest to try the sea oil, because the omega-6 ratio is really, really, really matter. Yeah. And if you want to go beyond that, you can try. I mean, this is go beyond that already. You can try the low carb diet. Yeah. And in my thesis is what actually improved my back pain, neck pain, all those. I think mainly is because of the carbs. Yeah, I reduce the carbs. I reduce the sugar. Because in the early days, when I start the carb diets, I don't really consume too much omega-3. Yeah. And because fish is really expensive, so I try whether I can don't eat fish, and then I still can improve my health.
Yeah.
It can. It can. But if you want to go beyond that, you need to eat more omega-3. And yeah, I skip all the sea oil, and then I replace it with animal fat, and also I didn't eat carbs. So either is omega-3. I mean, maybe not necessarily it's omega-3, but it's omega-6. You reduce the consumption of omega-6. Yeah. You replace the omega-6 profile with the saturated fat. And so, because omega-6 is kind of like have the inflammatory properties, and omega-3 have the anti-inflammatory properties. So you reduce omega-6, you definitely can see some benefits. And another perspective is like the carbs. And now if I eat some carbs, I will feel bad. Yeah. I mean the kind of like the processed foods. Or maybe Actually, it's still not the process because sometimes I still eat the sausage. Yeah, sometimes I still eat the sausage. Actually, it's okay to me. But if I eat the carbs, for example, eat some oil rice like the chicken rice,
Yeah.
I will feel bad.
Oh, feel bad in terms of how?
In terms of feeling, my problem will come back and I will feel like a little bit dizzy. I feel like a little. Sometimes my leg numbness come back. Sometimes I feel that my waist, my waist, my waist is kind of like a little bit sore. After I sit a long time, yeah, but only after I eat carbs, I will feel that my waist will be sore. Yeah, only after I eat carbs. If I don't eat carbs, I don't have that problem, even though I sit for a very long time. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think try the omega 6 3 to balance your omega 6 3 ratio. This is I think it's the best move if you want to take a first step.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So anything to add in?
Yeah, I think no for today.
Okay, so talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, talk to you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Goodbye.